Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Thursday, February 8th, 2018. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Right now, we have seen a bounce back toward the mid of the impulse sell-off. We've gotten this on the ES. Yesterday, we got it on the YM the day before. We got on the NQ as well the day before. So all of them bouncing back to their mids. That gives us a very nice key range to do business in for the foreseeable future. Again, I'm not convinced that the lows are in just yet. We could easily trade around the center point of this range for a while and then go back and retry those lows. And if that were to be the case, that could offer a significant buying opportunity that we would want to be a part of. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on this situation. So basically, if price, this is later on down the road, this is not for today, but if price were to drop down here and boom, drops down below 25.29, drops into this LVN, perhaps even down a little bit lower and can't really push the envelope lower, we might be snapping right back to 2,700 yet again, maybe even higher. So this right here would be a great zone to look for a trap. For now, you have to be very careful in here. Again, I mentioned before, anytime you have a huge range of movement like that, there tends to be some whipsaws back and forth, back and forth. And if you can see yesterday, running our scan to find this scenario right here, there was 154 candidates in the entire universe of stocks there that had this failed new high, a sell signal, and made it look like it was aggressively pointing lower. But then you come in this morning and there's a failed new low and it's popping back up. It could easily run back up, easily run back down, and all of a sudden we've basically just traded all sideways here. So again, this is one that you have to be very, very careful with. Take the best opportunities, mind your risk, because the volatility is much higher than it had been. And even though it's not like it's going to be on Friday, Monday, or Tuesday, that volatility is very rare, but still the volatility here is much higher than it had been overall. And so you have to continue to be careful and mind your risk. Here's a look at the NQ. NQ looking very similar as the ES. Again, it popped back to the midpoint of its impulse sell-off. That gives us a very nice range to do business in. If we go based off of the same type of analysis from the ES here, again, we could build out in here somewhat for a little while, and then if we were to dip down and try prices below 62.60, say into 61.50, 62, into that LVN, and there's some sort of rejection there, that could be a high probability squeeze back towards 66.50 and maybe even back toward highs. So again, this was going to be the zone to watch here for a big swing opportunity down the road. For right now, again, you got to mind your risk just like the ES and continue to look for swings back and forth in here. So it's going to be short-term action in here for now until we see a greater resolution. Here's a look at crude oil. Now, crude oil sold off yesterday. It was a significant sell-off. I talked about before, 63s were very, very important, but not just 63, even into the LVN 62.50. And so I mentioned yesterday, if price gets into that area and shows rejection, it could offer an opportunity to push up. If there is no rejection seen, the next level down is going to be 58.75, 59. So again, this is a significant selling pressure we've seen here. I noted before that HO and RB and some of these others were already pushing lower, and crude oil is now catching up. So the next bounce towards 63 could be an opportunity to trap and reverse it back toward 59. So keep that in mind as we continue forward with crude. Looking at gold here, you can see that gold has also pushed lower. We talked about this before, that the 1334, 1335 zone was holding as resistance. I mentioned that holding suggests that we could be dropping right into the 1306.60. Here we are this morning reaching a low at around 1309 or so, getting closer and closer to that area. Let's see, today's lows being 1309, right on the button. So we're coming into that LVN. Again, coming into this zone could provide a short-term bounce back up, but this has been a market that's been kind of lackluster here over the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to continue to watch it, but not really be fully engaged just yet. Again, if it bounces into this LVN, there could be an opportunity to bounce it back up as this thing builds a range at these highs. Lastly, let's take a look at Bitcoin, XBT. We mentioned before that this thing was rolling towards 6,700, and then again we saw a rejection tail forming. I mentioned that could be good for a bounce toward 10K, and if it were to bounce into 10K, it would likely be another opportunity to sell it even lower. So this is a short-term bounce back up. It's not a recommendation to buy it into this zone, but it is just a directional. If we jump into this area, it might be an opportunity where bears would look to defend and drop it to the next level down. So continue to look for short-term strength in XBT toward 99, 9,500, 98, 10K, and then from there you may begin to see additional selling pressure that leads this thing lower. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how these play out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.